All right, let's talk some Iowa, Nebraska. Now, you said what's a worst case scenario. I can't even imagine what a worst case scenario would be. We can game this out. I do have a serious question that I want to talk about with you in regards to Iowa. But Joel says, worst case scenario, Iowa recovers a TJ Lateef fumble at the 45-yard line with 1:51 to go. After throwing for 45 yards the rest of the game, Gronowski connects with a slow-ass tight end for 30 yards. Iowa kicks a field goal to win 13-10. I was trying to figure out when you asked the question of worst case scenario.
I didn't ask it. I thought that's what the question was that originally.
No, you said, but what would a worst case scenario be?
Well, I thought that's what they said about, like, how dark can it get? Then that's what I thought prompted all of it.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out, is the worst case scenario losing 13-10 again, or would it be losing like 56-14 style like Mike Riley's last? Like, what would be more depressing?
I think it has to go beyond just the on-field whatever happens there thing. Like, there has to be something that changes or affects how you feel about Nebraska football just in general. Because in the context of this just being one game, I think we've already hit our fill of people have made a ton about this one game. Like this.
Wow, see, this is where you and I are way different. We are so different on this.
The difference between the 8 and the 7 has just been monumental.
It is.
And I do understand you want that momentum going into the offseason. I get that. I definitely do get that. I think your worst case scenario would be you lose this game, and then Emmett Johnson's like, yeah, I'm not going to play the bowl game. I'm going into the draft. Have a good luck in your future.
Which is very much on the table. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that it isn't. Like
I'm mentally prepared for him to this is his last game. I am mentally in that zone. Yeah. Are you in that zone, or you think he's going to play in the bowl game?
I think he'll play in the bowl game.
And then go to the NFL.
I think he goes to the NFL, but it's largely for the same reason that I think every pitcher that gets drafted should go to Major League Baseball. Any running back that has tread on the tires should get to the NFL as soon as they can.
I'd be stunned if Matt Rule hadn't told him, and he's already alluded to it, but I bet Matt's told him behind the scenes, yeah, you should go to the NFL. Yeah. I think he's going to the NFL.
He's not doing the senior day thing, though.
Yeah, that's true. The interesting thing is last year we saw more players play in bowl games than and this is anecdotally, but it seemed like than any year in the last like 5 or 6. And so maybe you're right. And
what
players
could be part of their NIL agreement
bingo.
On a per game basis.
It explains a lot. Why did Cam Ward? Now there was some.
He played one half, right?
But didn't he set a record or hit some sort of yardage?
There was some sort of statistical achievement.
To imagine that there was something in there. Yeah, you got to play X amount of snaps or whatever it is. So maybe you're right. I am mentally preparing for this being his last game though at Nebraska. Yeah, the original prompt was Theo. Please talk worst case scenario for the Iowa game. How depressing could it be on?
I didn't make it up
on a Friday and the off season. So. Okay, Hot Danger says, worst case scenario, the entire team gets explosive synchronized poop pants at the exact same time first ball is snapped. Wow, so not only would that affect the first snap, but they're wearing white pants.
That's an absolutely horse crap.
So it'd be, nice job, Nick. It'd just be all over. They'd have poopy pants the whole day. It's like the time Bo Pelini had the pee stain on his pants. You remember that famous photo?
It's
Schaefer?
Just a shadow.
You know? Oh, I'll find it for you.
I don't remember this at all. I feel like I have exercised that for my brain.
As someone who wears khaki shorts, I mean, you got to make sure you're doing the shaking.
When you were reading that email, it made me think of like, I want to say it was one of the last episodes of The League. There's like this note.
Wow, you watched the end of The League?
Yeah, for some reason. It drops off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I want to say it's like the last episode, and there's this musical note that can be played that just
the brown note.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's a whole South Park episode about that.
There he is. There's Bo Pelini with pee on his pants. I think that was the Texas game in 2010.
Could have just been water. Who knows?
A pee-filled day for a variety of reasons for Nebraska football. Let's see if there's any more worst-case scenarios before we actually get into the game itself. Nope, there are not. All right.
So you answer your own question. What's the worst-case scenario to you?
I don't know. I mean, getting blown out would be pretty sad. Probably losing again in a groin kick, horrifying way, where everyone's like, you got to do this season and add them to the original rankings. So you had to pick
between your losses, and those are your choices.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you lost by a weird, like a middle score of 17, like that would just be, a bummer. I don't know, 10 points. I don't know. I think no matter what happens, it's a pretty horrifying finish.
I think if you get blown out, at least you can sort of just like be done with it earlier in the game. Kind of like the Penn State thing was.
Excellent point. You can check out emotionally. Yeah. It's always nice to check out emotionally.
Because then you're just done. You can get yourself, fired up for South Carolina upstate the next day.
Yeah, definitely.
With the state's winning basketball team. And,
yeah.
And, ride with that, I guess.
Or get excited for Michigan beating Ohio State again for the 5th straight time.
I don't think that's a thing that people think about as much as you do.
Okay. And Michigan fans. which I'm not.
Are the Michigan fans locked in on Nebraska, Iowa, and they care about the result?
There's a Michigan fan in our audience who comments on our YouTube from time to time.
Michigan Kevin?
No, that guy doesn't listen anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because you don't do enough hockey?
I think so. I think that's actually what it is.
Okay.
Kevin, you don't want me talking hockey. All right, what's the here we go, hot danger, worst case scenario. After the game, Troy Dannon hires Brian Ferentz as our offensive coordinator. Now we're just getting into fantasy land, negative fantasy land. That would be bad.
I mean, would Brian Ferentz as the offensive line coach, would people be okay about that?
That would be awesome. People would be very much.
Would they sign up for that?
Yeah, I guess he's saying.
And then he's the run game coordinator, and then we can have the debate as to whether that title means anything or not.
I love these debates. These are great. Maybe Eckler leaves and he's like, Foley, it's your job again. Maybe that all happens in the post-game press conference.
Wow, now that one I hadn't considered. Mike Eckler leaves to go be the special teams coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, who needs one.
Oh, interesting.
And then Foley steps back into the role on a full-time basis.
Mm-hmm. And it starts with the tour of the state and various restaurants.
Yeah, and then all the specialists transfer.
That would be a horrible case scenario.
Yeah.
Why are we so different in our view of the importance of this game? I
don't want to say that it isn't important.
Yeah.
I think that we have now reached a level where it has been talked about in terms of its importance. It's gone over. Like at some point, it's still a win between 7 and 8 wins in a year in which you underachieve. Mm-hmm. Like that has to be the baseline. That's my baseline look of it. And so
even if 8-4, you view 8-4 as an underachievement?
Relative to the schedule they played, probably.
Okay.
I mean, you still leave with no wins against ranked teams. You didn't really beat anybody you weren't supposed to beat.
Except for Iowa.
Iowa would be the one, and even then, I don't think this is a good Iowa team, and they have 7 wins right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they would finish 7-5.
Yeah.
So you didn't beat anybody.
True freshman starting quarterback, 5.5-point underdog. Like that doesn't.
And so that's the added context of it. You didn't have Dylan Raiola all year, et cetera. But
you overcame like a ass whooping the week before, short week,
which they literally did against Minnesota. The bigger question is, why is your team getting its ass whooped on the road against teams that are medium, middle of the pack?
Yeah.
Penn State, we could debate on that. But Minnesota never should have happened.
Yeah.
You have the Michigan USC games where you have opportunities to win those at home.
Yeah.
You're unable to get it
more
done.
frustrating than like anger inducing.
It's not the same. Like last year to me was a out and out underachieving season. Didn't care that they made a bowl game in the sense that they should have won 9 games in the regular season,
5-1,
etc.
Yeah.
This is a different version of underachieving where it feels like you were given a golden opportunity and you didn't make enough of it.
Yeah.
How often are you going to avoid playing all of the good teams in your conference?
It's a rarity. It's very much a rarity.
The best team on your schedule is either USC because they beat Michigan or Michigan because they'll end up with more wins than USC, or they're going to end up with the same
wins. Yeah. I mean, really, you're right. Those are the 2 best teams, and we would all agree, barring another Michigan upset over Ohio State, and then they would be a playoff team. The best teams are in the healthy middle of the pack, upper crust of the middle of the pack. But
for sure avoided Ohio State, Indiana,
and
Oregon
by far. So
we could argue whether Illinois is better than Michigan or USC.
Well, they beat USC, but they're in that healthy middle. You avoided Washington, also in the healthy middle. Yeah, and I would even throw in Wisconsin, which now, I mean, it's almost like, wow, thank God they didn't catch them in November because they've suddenly come together a little bit over the last few weeks since they decided to extend Luke Fickell. So I just. You mentioned context, and I think maybe that is where, for me, this is a you can't lose type football game, a must-win type football game for the program. And that's because they keep losing this game.
Sure.
And so another year that goes by, first of all, we haven't mentioned this. A loss means the under. So that's 7-5. And the total was, and like, a lot of people are like, I don't care about gambling. It's just, that's another way to view things through the context of, are you expected to go higher or lower than a number? And they would go under that. So like, I would start there. It would mean 10 losses in 11 years. It would also mean that the full-time coaches, since Bo got fired, have still been unable to beat Kirk Ferentz, which is just such a weird part in this, is that the one time they did, it was among the worst teams of this era.
Yep.
And they went, that got them to 4 wins on the year in a completely lost season in 2022. And so
it was also the highest or most points they've scored in that run, right? Other than the Adrian 2018 game.
Yeah.
I mean, how many
Yes.
times have they hit 20 in this series in the last 11
So
years?
probably 2018.
So
I think
2020 they did. They lost
2020.
24-20, I think.
2019, I think that they hit it. I think honestly it was like 18, 19, 20, 21,
Okay,
and then
they
22.
have more.
And then but then
it
since Matt
feels
Rule,
like this is always in the teens. I don't know why. It
Last
just
2 years
feels
it's been
that
the
way.
exact same score of 13 to 10.
13-10, yeah.
So like I think that is probably shaping my view of it a little bit, and then I go back to like progress and taking a step forward, and the frustration I guess that you just talked about last year with, I would feel that way even more so, even though you're right. 8-4 against this schedule, underachievement. 7-5 feels like just complete pooping of the bed.
It's the worst case scenario.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
it is. I get that in terms of what you would have looked at for the season ahead of the year. I just there's a part of me that I want to fast forward. Let's say Nebraska wins this game, they're 8-4, and then we're in December. All of the same issues still exist with this team that you still have right now today.
Yeah, but that's what makes rivalries. You know,
and
it's
that's the thing. Like, I guess I would love to hear from someone who would earnestly tell you that they'll feel differently about Matt Rule if he's able to win that game on Friday.
Wow, that's crazy.
But do you think, like, if they go 8-4, do you think that makes them more likely to be a better football team in 2026?
I think I would believe in them a little bit more, given that they finally beat Iowa.
Okay.
I mean, that program.
And I understand.
Do I view the Iowa rivalry differently than you? Is that what's going on here?
I don't know. I think I'm just sort of at this kind of inflection point with this team where I think we sort of know what they are. They're not that good.
Yeah.
They took advantage of a bad schedule. They play better at home than they do on the road. They don't have their best player, which I think is Dylan Raiola. I think it's interesting that we're now 2 days into this and we aren't having the Dylan versus TJ conversation.
We haven't done that
because
week.
It died out there in Pennsylvania because they clearly couldn't run an offense in the same way against a better. And then it might be the most talented team that they play on all year. So could be unfair to, but it is interesting to me that we're no longer having that conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
We didn't even have it yesterday. It wasn't going to come up until I brought it up today.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a, like, the bigger concern I have is win or lose. Does it feel like Nebraska's stuck right now?
So you don't think a win over Iowa?
I think a win gives you temporary satisfaction.
Yeah.
And then you'll get into December, and it's like, if they don't pull some studs out of the portal, are you going to feel great about Nebraska football in 2026? Well, I don't know if the answer to that is yes.
So then the other follow-up, of course, would be, could a win help them unlock studs in the portal? Like, do they, because 8-4 does sound a lot better than 7-4.
Well, if you can go 8-4, but then you add to it with the win in the bowl game.
I mean,
I almost think, as dumb as this sounds, like, winning the bowl game is bigger for the portal than beating Iowa.
That's crazy. But you might be right.
It's sort of this idea that, especially if you're playing an SEC team in Nashville or in Tampa, and you get a win against a Missouri team, like, it strikes me as you can sell that more as, like, the momentum you have going forward into 2026 than if you go beat Iowa on Friday and then you lose the bowl game on whatever day.
And that's so stupid because
one of them matters a lot more.
It should.
But I can't say that in the context of the portal that it will.
Yeah.
And I can't even guarantee that.
You're right. There's something about beating SEC teams.
But I just think it's a pelt that you can hold up with the bowl win, especially 2 years in a row. Not that beating Boston College last year is anything anyone talked about. It's a day after it happened.
Yeah, we literally never. I never did a post-game show about it on anything.
You know what I mean, though. If they go down to Tampa, they're 8-4 because I think if they win, they're going to Tampa.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they're cutting in line.
Tampa has been begging for Nebraska, and people will be fired up to go down there to watch. I know a fair amount of people that, if it's Tampa or Nashville, they're going to go to the bowl game. But then you go and you get blown out by Missouri or LSU, or I don't know who else could get in. I mean, there's a realistic chance that Texas could be your opponent in Tampa.
People would be interested in that.
Yeah. So it's tough for me because I also don't want to fall in this fallacy of making so much about one game. Because we saw it happen earlier this year a couple times.
But it's a rivalry. Like, this is the season ender against Iowa. And maybe, again, I think I do maybe view this game differently than you do, because I don't think we can say this is the game for Nebraska at the end of every year. That is kind of have they taken the step forward?
I guess
are they at this level?
To me, I don't know that a win saves the season as a whole.
I mean, it doesn't save it, but man, it's a
It
much
makes
better
it look
taste.
a lot better.
It's a much better
It
taste.
is a
in your
much
mouth.
better polish on a turd. There's no.
I just don't know
question
what rivalries are for, if not to alter how you feel about an entire year.
That's fair.
And like you and I never got to grow up with the Nebraska Oklahoma stuff, so like I don't. And they were always good back in those days too. So I don't know what it's like to have a season where it's like, oh man, that was a bummer of a season, but then they got the win over Oklahoma. Like,
well, it's because we grew up where your focus wasn't on beating any individual team.
But now they are at such a level, and like Trent hits on, he says, I'd feel more confident if they won because it would show they could finally win a game they weren't favored in, which is a massive concern for me. And I absolutely think that, say what, like, I in a way, I almost don't care about the perception of Iowa and how good or bad they are. Vegas views them as close to a touchdown favorite in your house on Black Friday. You haven't beaten them, in 3 years, and you've only beaten them one time in the last 10.
What's the history of the spread in this series? Do you have that?
I don't on right in front of me, but I do know Nebraska's been a favorite.
Me about this is that we have seen better versions of Iowa and worse versions of Nebraska, and this feels like a higher spread.
It is. In 2010, or 2022, John had the number recently. Nebraska was a 10-point dog, which like stunned me. The win that Nebraska had. Yeah. Otherwise, and I'm trying to pull it up right now. I think in 21, Nebraska was the favorite. Like,
even though they were starting
Logan Smothers. Yeah. All right, let's see. Okay. Last year, Iowa was a 3-point favorite, so it was a push. The year before that, Nebraska was a 2.5-point favorite. And obviously, Iowa won that one by 3 points. Okay, the year before, when Nebraska won, Iowa was a 10.5-point favorite. 2021, which is the famed 21-6 slow motion car crash, Nebraska 1.5-point favorite. That was a 3-18 coming into the game. Yeah. Iowa won the division that year, and Nebraska was a favorite. 2020, Iowa was a 12.5-point favorite. Nebraska lost by 6.
Oh, is it 26 to 20? Not
26 to 20, okay. Yeah. The year after that, Nebraska lost 27-24. Iowa was a 4-point favorite, so Nebraska covered. 2018, Scott Frost's first year, Iowa was a 7.5-point favorite. Nebraska covered. And then I'll just go to Mike Riley's. I'll give you the Mike Riley era too, because I have those numbers.
Well, the 2015 is the only one that matters in that era, because that was they were undefeated. Yes. Nebraska needed a win to cement bowl eligibility. Even though 2016 is the bloodbath game. Yeah. 2017 is that nobody cared because everyone was watching UCF versus USF that night.
Great poll. All those games were short favorites. Iowa -5 in 2017, Iowa -2.5 in 2015, Iowa -3 in 2016. So Iowa covered by a lot, and a few in the game.
Here's something interesting that I hadn't thought of. Nebraska hasn't had the same quarterback in this series since Adrian played in 2020. Otherwise, they've had a different quarterback every year. They've had a backup quarterback.
Logan
in 4 of them now.
Casey Thompson. And
3 of them.
And then who was it? Chuba a couple years ago. And then last year it was Dylan. And then, wow. Yeah. So backups this year, 23, not in 22 and 20. So 3 times since 2021. Wow, that's pretty interesting. And then also in the 2019 game, they put Luke McCaffrey on the field at the end of the mismanagement.
Did he have a touchdown pass in that game, or did he catch the ball? There was a play with J.D. Spielman with him in that game, I think.
I liked J.D. Spielman. Coaches didn't, but I did. So yeah, I'm viewing this game quite important for the next step moving forward. We got some responses that we can get to when we return as we continue to roll on. Steve Sipple will join us in a half hour. I hope that we don't gang up on you in your opinion in this regard. I know he's on my side. I was surprised to see him on my side this morning.
Yeah, and this isn't like, I'm not over here saying things are okay if Nebraska loses.
Yeah.
I'm asking if you search deep in your heart, deep in your heart.
I'll go there.
If you're going to feel dramatically different about the season if Nebraska beats Iowa, and you're still going to, like, not in the immediacy, but when you get a little bit further away from it and you actually look back at this year, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Like, it's really going to hurt.
But if they get another one on you and all those terrible media members over there make their bad videos on, like, I said this on the air. I don't, wins and losses are what they are these days for me. And I'm happy when they win and I'm bummed when they lose. This game, though, gets me every year. Like, because they're unfunny. They're not funny. Be funny.
Yeah. I mean,
triggers me.
The portion of it that I just can't stomach is that, and it has nothing to do with the Nebraska-Iowa exclusive. It's just an Iowa thing. It's the horseshoe that I don't understand how they luck into these situations all the time.
Even on Saturday against Michigan State.
When they're clearly outmatched, they can convince Oregon to just not cover a tight end by 20 yards. Like, it doesn't It never makes any sense to me.
They
that
suck everyone into their
magically
vortex.
Get everyone to play their brand of awful.
Yeah.
Like that is more of the annoyance.
It's so
than it is anything
impressive.
Nebraska.
I don't know how they do it.
It's like a Jedi mind trick.
Maybe that's what they're doing. These aren't the droids you're looking for. That's not the pass play you want to run.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't like it, Nick. I don't like it.
I'm fine with it.
Chance writes Chubba, Steve Sipple do we got a little
Chubba?
Do we got a little Chubba on the wall there, Nick?
I might have got rid of that drop.
What on
He
earth?
left. I didn't think we would need it anymore ever. This is the most we've talked about Chubba since he left.
Nick, you could talk about
Speaking of Purdy's, I continue to feel like I'm taking victory lap after
Whoa.
victory lap with my quarterback takes in the NFL.
But so do I, because they won. Thus, Kyle Shanahan underrated as a head coach. Gosh, we're both feeling good about our takes. There it is.
Chubba.
I never felt like he was overrated.
He's underrated. That's my take.
Yeah.
He's underrated.